The night the crown turned its swords against them, the sky above the capital burned red as blood. Lord Jeon, once the most trusted advisor to the throne, stood on the steps of his ancestral hall, his arms outstretched, not in surrender, but in silent protest. The royal decree rang through the square. High treason, conspiracy to overthrow the crown. Death to all of House Jeon. It was a lie, a carefully woven trap laid by jealous rivals who coveted the Jeon lands and influence. By dawn, the great house was no more. The gardens were trampled, the halls ransacked, and the blood of the Jeon line stained the marble floors. Only one soul slipped through the tightening net. Y.N. Jeon, 16 years old, the only daughter of the house. She did not escape alone. In the darkest hour, when the guards were closing in, a figure in plain leather armor and a hooded cloak broke through the rear passage. Felix Lee, 22, quiet, sharp-eyed, and fiercely loyal. He had been taken in by Lord Jeon as an orphan boy, trained as a soldier, and sworn to protect the family with his life. To the world, he was merely a servant, a guard, a nobody. To In, he was the only hope she had left. "Come, my lady," Felix whispered, his voice rough but steady as he lifted her from the rubble. "We cannot stay, not one moment longer. Father, mother, everyone." In choked, her dress torn, her face streaked with tears and soot. "Felix, they are gone. There is nothing left." "There is you," he said firmly, wrapping a heavy woolen cloak around her slender shoulders. "And as long as I draw breath, you will live. Now run." And so they vanished into the thick, mist-shrouded forest that bordered the kingdom. Two fugitives, carrying nothing but the clothes on their backs, a few coins, and the heavy weight of a name that was now cursed. 3 days into their flight, the weather turned cruel. Rain lashed the treetops, turning the ground into mud and chilling their bones to the marrow. Felix led them deeper into the woods, away from roads and patrols, until they found shelter beneath the overhang of a large rock face. As dusk fell, he gathered dry branches and struck flint until a small, warm fire crackled to life. The golden light danced across their faces, chasing away the shadows, but not the fear. In sat close to the flame, pulling her to her chest. She watched Felix as he tended to their meager supplies, checking their water skin, sharpening his dagger, his movements efficient and graceful. She had always known he was strong, but now, in the ruins of her world, he looked like her only fortress. "You should rest, Lady Yin," Felix said, glancing over his shoulder. "We will move again before first light." "Please, do not call me that anymore," she said softly. "There is no lady left. I am just In now. A fugitive, a stain on the kingdom's name." Felix paused, his hand resting over his left forearm. A faint grimace crossed his face, something he had been trying to hide for hours. "To me, you will always be the daughter of the man who gave me a home when I had none," he replied, but his voice tightened. "Though, perhaps titles do not matter much out here in the wild." He shifted, wincing again. "Felix?" In leaned forward, her worry sharpening. "Your arm. You have been holding it strangely since we left the city. Did you get hurt?" "It is nothing," he lied, though beads of sweat glistened at his temple. "A scratch." "It is not nothing. Let me see." Before he could refuse, she reached out and gently pushed back the sleeve of his tunic. What she saw made her gasp. There, winding from his wrist to his elbow, was a mark she had never noticed before. It looked like a tattoo, but far more intricate. A dragon coiled in majestic loops, its wings spread wide, its head raised toward the sky. But it was not inked in black or blue. It shimmered like liquid silver, pulsing faintly in time with the firelight, as if it held a heartbeat of its own, and it was growing brighter. What is this?" In whispered, her fingers hovering inches from the skin, afraid to touch. "I have never seen this mark on you before." Felix stared at it, his eyes wide with confusion and something like awe. "I did not know it existed either. It began to tingle the moment we crossed the border into these woods. At first it was just a faint outline, but since night fell, it burns, but not with pain. It feels like waking up." The silver light flared brighter, casting strange, dancing shadows across the rock wall. A low hum vibrated through the air, subtle but undeniable. "Is it magic?" In asked, her voice trembling, not with fear, but curiosity. "Old magic, the kind our history books speak of, the magic that vanished centuries ago." "I do not know," Felix murmured, flexing his fingers. The ache in his arm was fading, replaced by a surge of strength, as if warm light was flowing through his veins. "But it feels ancient, like something that has slept inside me since birth." He looked up, and for a moment his dark eyes held flecks of silver, matching the brand on his skin. "Whatever it is," he said, his gaze locking onto hers, "it seems to have awakened because we are running for our lives. Perhaps it is meant to protect us." In stared back at him. In the firelight, he looked less like a guard and more like a guardian from legend. The distance between master and servant, once enforced by law and custom, was melting away in the heat of the flames and the danger surrounding them. The night deepened and the forest grew quiet, save for the crackling of the fire and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Felix wrapped his cloak tighter around In, noticing how she shivered even near the warmth. He sat beside her, but kept a respectful distance, old habits dying hard. Yet the silver mark on his arm continued to pulse, as if urging him closer, as if it recognized the bond between them was more than duty. "You saved my life," In said suddenly, breaking the silence. "Twice now. Once when the soldiers broke down the doors, and again when you pulled me from the river yesterday. Why, Felix? Why risk everything for someone whose name is now a death sentence?" Felix turned his head to look at her. The firelight painted soft gold highlights in her dark hair and illuminated the sadness in her eyes. For years he had served her father, guarded her from afar, and buried any feeling deeper than loyalty. But in the face of losing everything, the walls he had built began to crumble. "Because Lord Jeon did not just give me shelter," he said, his voice low and sincere. "He gave me honor, and you were the light in that house. When I was a boy, cold and hungry, you shared your bread with me and told me stories of the stars. I swore an oath to protect you, but somewhere along the way, it became more than an oath." In's breath caught in her throat. Her heart began to beat faster, loud enough she feared he might hear it. "More than an oath?" she repeated, her voice barely audible. Felix shifted closer, the space between them vanishing. The silver dragon on his arm glowed brighter, as if responding to the honesty in his words. "I have loved you for a long time, In," he confessed, looking into her eyes without flinching. "I thought it wrong, impossible, a servant loving his master's daughter. But now there is no master, no servant, only two people who have lost everything, except each other. If you hate me for speaking this way, I will understand, but I cannot hide it anymore." He waited, bracing himself for rejection, but what he saw in her eyes was not anger, it was recognition. In reached out, her hand trembling slightly, and placed her palm gently over the glowing silver dragon. The moment her skin touched his, a jolt of warmth passed between them, flowing from his arm into her hand, and spreading through her chest. It felt like a key turning in a lock, as if the magic recognized her as part of its purpose. "I do not hate you," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks again. But this time they were tears of hope. "I thought I had lost everything worth caring for. But then I realized the only thing that ever truly mattered was standing right beside me all along. I was too blind by my title to see it clearly." She lifted her other hand to cup his face, her thumb brushing over his cheekbone. "I love you too, Felix Lee, not as a guard, not as a servant, but as the man who gave me my life back." The words hung in the air, sacred and true. Felix let out a breath he felt he had been holding for years. He raised his marked arm, wrapping it gently around her waist, pulling her close until their bodies touched. The silver light from the dragon wrapped around them both like a protective veil, soft and warm. "Are you sure?" he asked, his forehead resting against hers. "Our path ahead is dark. We will be hunted. We will face hunger, cold, and danger at every turn. Being with me means sharing all of that. Then let us share it, In said firmly, her voice steady now. Life and death, joy and sorrow, I choose you. Whatever comes, we face it together. Felix smiled, a rare, beautiful sight that lit up his whole face. He tilted his head, and his lips met hers in a kiss that tasted of smoke, rain, and the promise of a new beginning. It was not hurried or desperate, but deep and certain, sealing a bond stronger than any royal decree or ancient law. When they finally parted, they rested against each other, wrapped in their cloaks, and the strange, gentle magic of the dragon's mark. Look, Felix murmured, lifting his arm. The silver dragon was still glowing, but now it seemed calmer, steady, and bright. It changed when we spoke the truth. It seems this magic does not awaken for war alone. It awakens for what binds hearts. In traced the shape of the dragon with her finger. What do you suppose it means? Are we bound now, not just by love, but by this ancient power? I do not know all the answers, Felix replied, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. But I know this. As long as this mark burns, and as long as I have you, we will survive. We will find the truth behind the treason, and one day, we will clear the name of House Jeon. In snuggled closer into his embrace, listening to the steady rhythm of his heart. Outside the shelter, the forest was full of shadows and threats, and their enemies were still searching. But inside the circle of light, there was only warmth, safety, and a love that had crossed the lines of duty and rank. Then let tomorrow come, she whispered. We have something worth fighting for now. And beneath the watchful gaze of the silver dragon, master and servant had become lovers, bound not by status, but by life, death, and a magic older than the kingdom itself. Dawn broke pale and gray, filtering through the canopy of trees. The fire had reduced to embers, but the silver mark on Felix's arm still glowed softly, like a hidden star beneath his skin. In stirred awake, finding herself curled against Felix's chest, his arms securely around her. She looked up to see him already awake, gazing out into the forest with new sharpness in his eyes. Did you sleep? She asked, softly, sitting up. Enough, he said, turning to her with a gentle smile. The mark, it showed me things while I rested, memories that are not mine, of a time when dragons walked the earth, and their blood ran in the veins of guardians. It seems my ancestors were not just soldiers they were protectors bound to ancient magic. Does that mean you have powers now? She asked, curious. Felix raised his arm, concentrating. The silver light intensified, and for a split second, a faint outline of translucent wings shimmered in the air behind him before fading back into the brand. I am learning, he said, amazed, but it takes strength and focus, and I believe it grows stronger when we are together. He reached for her hand, lacing their fingers together. The dragon pulsed once, bright and reassuring. Our enemies think we are just two helpless fugitives, Felix said, his voice hardening with resolve. They destroyed your family thinking no one would dare stand against them. They were wrong. In squeezed his hand, her own courage returning. We will gather the truth. We will find allies. And when the time comes, we will return and make them pay for what they did. Felix pulled her into another embrace, kissing her forehead. And whatever stands in our way, soldiers, storms, or dark magic, we will face it. With the strength of the silver worm and the strength of this love. They packed their few belongings, doused the fire, and stepped out into the cool morning air. The road ahead was long and dangerous, winding through unknown lands, and toward secrets buried deep in history. But In and Felix walked hand in hand, no longer a fallen noble and a guard, but two souls united by fate, love, and the mark of the dragon. Somewhere in the mist, the wind carried the distant sound of a great silent wing beat, and the legend of the lovers of the silver brand had only just begun. The path led them deeper into the whispering woods, where ancient oaks towered so high they blocked much of the sunlight, leaving the ground in cool, shifting shadow. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves, made In's pulse quicken. She walked close to Felix, her hand resting lightly on his arm, drawing comfort from his steady presence and the faint silver glow beneath his sleeve. By mid-morning, Felix halted abruptly, raising a hand to signal silence. "What is it?" In whispered, her eyes scanning the trees. "Footfalls," Felix murmured, his senses sharpened by the awakening magic. "Heavy, many of them, and the clink of armor. Royal soldiers, I'd wager." In's face paled. "They found us this fast." "House Jeon had powerful enemies," Felix said grimly. "They won't let us escape easily. Stay behind me." He drew his sword, the steel glinting faintly. The silver dragon on his forearm began to throb, the light spreading outward like liquid starlight, wrapping around the blade until it shimmered with a pale, otherworldly radiance. In stared in awe. "Felix, your sword." "It feels like it belongs to me now," he said, his voice deeper, edged with a strange power. "The mark guides it." Moments later, 5 soldiers broke through the underbrush, their tabards marked with the crest of the royal court. Their captain, a broad-shouldered man with a scar across his jaw, spotted them and barked a command. "There they are, the traitor's daughter and her runaway guard. Seize them dead or alive." "Run in," Felix shouted, stepping forward to block their path. "I will not leave you," she cried, drawing the small dagger he had given her. "We stand together." The captain laughed, raising his sword. "Brave but foolish. You have no power here." He charged. Felix met him with a blow that rang like a bell. The silver light flared, and where the 2 blades met, a shockwave of force threw the captain back several paces, crashing into a tree trunk. The other soldiers hesitated, eyes wide at the strange magic. "What sorcery is this?" one gasped. Felix did not answer. He moved like a man possessed, faster, stronger, more agile than any ordinary warrior. Every strike of his glowing blade forced the soldiers back, but there were too many, and they began to circle, trying to flank him. In saw one man creeping around behind Felix, raising his spear. Without thinking, she rushed forward. Driving her dagger into his thigh, he roared in pain, spinning around and swinging at her. She stumbled back, tripping over a root, and fell. "In!" Felix's voice cracked with fear and rage. In that instant, the silver dragon on his arm erupted. Light poured from his skin, so bright it turned the dim forest into day. A low, resonant roar echoed through the trees, not from his throat, but from the magic itself, and for a heartbeat, great translucent wings of silver light unfurled from his back, stretching wide between the trees. The soldiers froze, paralyzed by terror. "Dragon magic," the captain shrieked. "Retreat! This is not what we were told." Felix stood tall, wings of light shielding In where she lay. His eyes shone like molten silver, and his voice carried the weight of ages. "Tell those who sent you, House Jeon is not so easily erased, and those who hunt us will find more than fugitives. They will find the wrath of the silver worm." Overcome by fear, the soldiers scrambled backward, tripping over each other as they fled deeper into the woods. Within minutes, the forest fell silent again, save for their heavy retreating footsteps. The glow faded slowly, the wings dissolved like mist, and the dragon brand dimmed back to a soft, steady pulse. Felix turned immediately and knelt beside In, his hands trembling as he checked her over. "Are you hurt? Did he strike you?" In sat up, her heart racing, but unharmed. She reached up and touched his face, her fingers brushing the marks of exertion. "I am fine, but you? That was incredible. You look like a legend come alive." Felix let out a long breath, leaning his forehead against hers. "I almost lost control. When I saw you fall, something inside me snapped. It felt as if the dragon itself was waking up fully." "And it saved us," she said softly, tracing the glowing mark on his arm. "We are not just 2 people running anymore, Felix. We have strength no one expected." He covered her hand with his own, lacing their fingers. "But it only works when you are with me. When I fight alone, it feels like a sleeping power. When you are near, it surges. It feels like this magic was always meant to protect both of us." In smiled through her lingering fear. "Then we will never be apart. Not while we draw breath." They moved farther that day, putting more distance between themselves and the patrols, until they reached a narrow mountain pass leading toward the borderlands. As evening fell, they found shelter in a small cave hidden behind a curtain of ivy, safe from sight and wind. Felix lit another fire, and once again the golden light danced over them. The tension of the day had eased, replaced by the quiet intimacy that now felt as natural as breathing. In sat close, leaning against his side, watching the dragon mark pulse gently. "Tell me what you felt when it awoke. Did you see anything more?" Felix nodded, his gaze distant as he searched his memory. Visions, fragments, a great silver dragon soaring above mountains, its scales shining like starlight. A vow spoken long ago. The blood of the worm shall protect the innocent, and its fire shall burn away lies. He turned to her, his expression serious. "I think this power is not just random. It chose to awaken now because we are fighting for the truth. Lord Jeon was innocent, and the crown was deceived or corrupted." In's jaw tightened. "My father always spoke of an ancient alliance between the royal family and the dragon guardians. He said the pact was broken centuries ago, but he never explained why." "Perhaps it was not broken," Felix said slowly. "Perhaps it was only hidden, waiting for someone worthy to carry it again." He lifted his arm, and the dragon glowed brighter, casting silver patterns across In's face. "And now it is bound to me and through me, it is bound to you. When I touched your heart earlier, it was as if the magic recognized you as its equal." In reached up and pressed her palm to the center of his chest, right over his heart. "Because we are bound now, not just by magic, but by every choice we have made since that night our world fell apart." Felix caught her hand there, then brought it to his lips and kissed each of her fingers. "I used to think love was a weakness, something that would distract me from my duty. But today, I learned it is the greatest strength I have. Without you, that power would have remained asleep forever." He shifted closer, pulling her onto his lap, her body fitting perfectly against his. The firelight painted her skin in warm gold, and the fear and sorrow in her eyes had softened into something bright and alive. "Yin," he whispered, his voice rough with emotion. "Whatever happens ahead, more soldiers, harder roads, greater dangers, I give you my word. I will shield you with every breath, every drop of my blood, and every ounce of this magic, even if it costs me my life." She wrapped her arms around his neck, her fingers tangling in his hair. "And I give you mine. I will stand beside you, not behind you. We will uncover the truth, clear my father's name, and make sure no other family suffers what we did. And if death comes for us, it will find us together." Their lips met again, slower this time, deeper and more certain. The silver dragon flared, wrapping them in a soft, luminous cocoon that blocked out the chill of the mountain air and the darkness of the world beyond. It was as if the ancient magic itself was sealing their promise, weaving their souls into one unbreakable thread. When they finally settled to rest, wrapped in cloaks and each other's warmth, In rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart, while the silver mark glowed like a quiet promise in the dimness. Somewhere beyond the mountains, enemies plotted and lies were spoken. But in that small cave, two fugitives held something far more powerful. A love forged in fire, a magic reborn, and a destiny that would shake the foundations of the kingdom.
'Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.